It's Teresa. We are back for part 2 of our history series about the Fairbanks for another fireside chat. Let's talk about a couple of these rooms. This is the main living room at the Fairbanks house. And you can see it's quite large. We already showed you some of the tile work around the fireplace yesterday. But it's a grand room for a grand home. And George Fairbanks was a state senator for Florida. And so he had to be concerned about all of the problems of the day. And so he would have the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and probably the Mellons and many notables of that time here to entertain them, to discuss the issues of the day, and to hopefully come up with some resolutions for that. So that required quite a grand room. Now, hard to see from here. Let's try this a little bit. So sorry. These are pocket doors. Very, very large pocket doors that certainly separated the dining room, but then into the foyer as well. So in the evenings, after dinner, in the dining room, which I won't show you too much of because we're doing a little bit of sorting in there right now, everyone would have dinner, and then after dinner, everyone would retire to the living room here, and then after a while, the ladies would stay in here, but then the menfolk would all get up and go to the library, which is right over here. We'll show you. So they would come from the living room here and head over to the library. It's now a guest room called the library, but it was the original library on the house. And so all of the men would come here and sit and relax in here. Another one of these fireplaces that are so magnificent throughout the house. This is what is known as carved soapstone. You can see it's a very ornate design. And this one would have had the most ornate design in the house, because this is where non-family members would come. So they would come in here, people say have their cigars, but George Fairbanks, as we know, was a devout Episcopalian, and we're told he did not smoke or drink. So perhaps some of the Carnegies or the Rockefellers did, but he certainly did not. So they would enjoy their time in here. One other feature I wanted to show you, and we have these throughout the public areas, are the windows go all the way down to the floor. And it's the same thing in the living room and dining room. Now the reason for that, we're told, is that, well, it was twofold, but you can see how they go all the way down. It was twofold. Back in the 1800s, in this particular part of the world, certainly still today, it can be rather muggy and warm, and so they would get as much air moving through the house as they could, so they would open these big windows. Well, they certainly could have done that with shorter windows as well, but we are told that in this part of the world, again, the way that houses were taxed were on the number of doors that they had. So the Fairbanks got around that, and you'll see some of these other homes around town where they just had floor-to-ceiling windows. And so if they wanted to go out on the porch, instead of going through a door, they would lift the window and just step out onto the porch. So you'll find that in a lot of homes here, and we certainly have several of those leading out onto the various porches. So just a little snippet today. We'll show you a little bit more rooms tomorrow, and in fact I'll work on my reverse camera skills, and we can't see if we can't get this done a little bit better. But in the meantime, hope you're enjoying the house tour.